In the annals of American political scandal, few episodes have revealed as much about the shadowy interplay between ideology, covert operations, and executive power as the Iran-Contra Affair. Emerging from the geopolitical turbulence of the 1980s, this scandal exposed a clandestine network of arms deals, proxy wars, and constitutional subversion that challenged the very foundations of democratic accountability. At its core, the Iran-Contra Affair was not merely a lapse in judgment or a rogue operation. It was a calculated orchestration of foreign policy conducted outside the bounds of law, oversight, and public consent. The affair unfolded during the presidency of Ronald Reagan, a period marked by intense Cold War anxieties and a fervent commitment to anti-communist interventionism. The Reagan administration viewed the spread of Marxist regimes in Latin America, particularly the Sandinista government in Nicaragua, as a direct threat to U.S. interests and global stability. In response, the administration sought to support the Contra, a rebel group fighting the Sandinistas, despite explicit congressional prohibitions on such aid. Simultaneously, the administration was grappling with the hostage crisis in Lebanon, where Hezbollah, an Iranian-backed militant group, was holding several Americans captive. These two seemingly unrelated crises became intertwined in a covert strategy that would ultimately unravel into one of the most consequential scandals in U.S. history. The first strand of the affair involved the secret sale of arms to Iran, a nation designated as a state sponsor of terrorism and embroiled in a brutal war with Iraq. The rationale for this operation was ostensibly humanitarian, to secure the release of American hostages held by Hezbollah. However, the deeper motivations were strategic and ideological. By engaging in Iran through intermediaries such as the Iranian arms dealer Mythic, the Reagan administration hoped to establish a back channel that could influence Iranian behavior and potentially realign regional dynamics. The arms sales, conducted in violation of an arms embargo and without congressional approval, were facilitated by senior officials within the National Security Council, including Robert McFarlane and later John Poindexter. The second strand of the affair involved the diversion of proceeds from the Iranian arms sales to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. This maneuver was a direct violation of the Boland Amendment, a series of legislative measures passed by Congress to restrict U.S. support for the Contra. The administration circumvented these restrictions by channeling funds through a complex web of private donors, foreign governments, and covert operatives. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, a member of the National Security Council, played a central role in coordinating these efforts, maintaining secret communications, and overseeing the logistics of arms transfers and financial transactions. The architecture of the Iran-Contra operation was deliberately opaque, designed to evade detection and accountability. Documents were destroyed, records were falsified, and key decisions were made outside formal channels. When the operation was exposed in November 1986 by a Lebanese magazine, the revelations triggered a political firestorm. President Reagan initially denied that arms had been traded for hostages, but subsequent investigations revealed the extent of the administration's involvement and the deliberate obfuscation of its activities. The fallout from the scandal was profound. Multiple investigations were launched, including a congressional inquiry and the Tower Commission appointed by Reagan himself. These investigations uncovered a pattern of deception, disregard for legal constraints, and a troubling concentration of power within the executive branch. While President Reagan was never conclusively proven to have authorized the full scope of the operation, the investigations highlighted the systemic failures that allowed such a scheme to unfold. Several officials, including North and Poindexter, were indicted and convicted, though many convictions were later overturned or pardoned. Beyond the legal and political consequences, the Iran-Contra Affair raised fundamental questions about the nature of American democracy and the limits of presidential authority. It revealed how ideological fervor and geopolitical ambition could override constitutional safeguards and how secrecy could become a tool of governance rather than a shield for national security. The affair also underscored the fragility of public trust and the dangers of unchecked executive power. One of the most enduring legacies of the affair is its impact on the discourse surrounding covert operations and foreign policy. The scandal exposed the ethical and strategic dilemmas inherent in clandestine interventions, particularly when conducted without transparency or accountability. It also highlighted the role of myth and narrative in shaping public perception. The Reagan administration, known for its rhetorical prowess and media savvy, sought to frame the affair as a noble, albeit flawed, effort to combat tyranny and rescue hostages. This narrative, while compelling to some, masked the deeper implications of the scandal and the erosion of democratic norms. The affair also illuminated the role of intermediaries and unofficial actors in shaping U.S. foreign policy. Figures like Ghorbanifar operated in the shadows, leveraging personal connections and ideological alignment to influence decisions at the highest levels of government. These actors, often motivated by profit or personal agendas, became instrumental in executing policies that lacked formal authorization or oversight. Their involvement blurred the lines between diplomacy, espionage, and criminality, creating a murky landscape where accountability was elusive. In examining the secrets of the Iran-Contra Affair, it is essential to consider the broader historical and geopolitical context. The 1980s were a period of intense ideological polarization, with the United States engaged in a global struggle against communism. This struggle often justified extraordinary measures, including support for authoritarian regimes, covert interventions, and the manipulation of public discourse. The Iran-Contra Affair was a manifestation of this mindset of belief that the ends justified the means, even if those means violated the law and undermined democratic principles. The scandal also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of institutional complicity and the erosion of checks and balances. The National Security Council, originally designed as an advisory body, became a hub of covert activity, operating with minimal oversight and significant autonomy. The failure of other institutions, including Congress and the judiciary, to effectively monitor and constrain these activities reflects a broader vulnerability in the American political system. When power becomes concentrated and accountability is diminished, the potential for abuse increases exponentially. In the years following the Iran-Contra Affair, efforts were made to reform oversight mechanisms and strengthen institutional safeguards. However, the legacy of the scandal continues to resonate, particularly in debates over executive authority, transparency, and the ethics of foreign intervention. The affair remains a touchstone for scholars, policymakers, and activists seeking to understand the interplay between ideology, power, and secrecy in American governance. Ultimately, the secrets of the Iran-Contra Affair are not confined to the details of arms deals or financial transactions. They lie in the deeper truths about how governments operate in the shadows, how narratives are constructed to justify questionable actions, and how democratic institutions can be subverted in the pursuit of strategic goals. The affair challenges us to confront uncomfortable realities about the nature of power and the importance of vigilance in preserving democratic integrity. As we reflect on the Iran-Contra Affair, we are reminded that the health of a democracy depends not only on the strength of its institutions, but also on the courage of its citizens to demand accountability and transparency. The scandal may have faded from public memory, but its lessons remain urgent and relevant. In an era of renewed geopolitical tension and evolving threats, the imperative to uphold democratic principles and resist the allure of secrecy is more critical than ever. The Iran-Contra Affair stands as a stark reminder of what can happen when those principles are compromised, and when the pursuit of power eclipses the rule of law.